Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody inside and outside the ballpark to the Noved podcast, where we talk to many different creators and communities. I'm your host, and today on episode 91, we have an amazing charity event here inside of VR Chat, who's been going for a few years now. We have two of the main staff over there. We have Skootaboss and DJGearBolt. Welcome to you both. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, big challenge.
Doing great. Excited to be here.
Yeah, happy to have you both on here. Yeah. So first and foremost, as I ask all my guests, what exactly got you into VR chat in the first place?
I started playing it was Halloween 2017 was the first time I ever started playing the game. And most of it was because of like meme stuff, the meme culture surrounding the game. But I found very quickly that you could connect with people all around the world, like quicker than most social media. You know, it was really, really cool that I could talk to somebody from Switzerland in the virtual space. And that's pretty much what drew me in.
I'm an Elder Scrolls nerd. I built Skyrim VR before we had Skyrim VR by using a thing called Trinus on a Gear S2. So when I had the opportunity to get a Rift CV1, I did that. And then I went looking for free games on Steam, and I found a nightmarish little meme called VR Chat, and it was fun. I met a lot of cool people, memed around for, I want to say it was 2018 in February, I think, because I just checked recently. But what really got me hooked is I never really played Second Life. It was too uncanny for me, but I tried, wasn't there. A bunch of my friends did, and so I had a predisposition to some of that under the skin stuff, and I noticed some similarities. I went around poking, between different weird communities, and before I found the club that me and him met at, and same story. Just started meeting people from Tokyo and Russia and Australia and France and the UK all in the same night, and it was just like, okay.
No, fair.
Say that's what hooked me.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Obviously, with VR chat being one of the biggest VR international games around the world, it's definitely a crazy thing, right? And obviously, you two, like you said, you two had met up in a club together, and things progressed down the line, obviously, and fast forward to now, and the past couple of years, you guys are running GearFest. So, for the general listening audience, what exactly is GearFest?
Well, it started. I'll kind of like give the background of how it all began. I for my birthday party in 2022 decided to throw, I think it was 2 days. We only did two. Was it 2 or 3 days? The first.
It was 3, 4 hours each.
It was 3 days, 4 hours each, little festival, and we were going to raise money for charity. And it went pretty good for the first year. It was just kind of a fun little thing that we did, and it did really well. So we decided I wanted to kind of structure it a little better, and that's when I reached out to Scoot and Ministry Promotions and was like, do you want to spearhead this thing and really get it some legs and get it running properly? And Scoot, you could tell the rest of the story from there.
So when we got on the first one, Ministry was still kind of young, but me and Gear had been doing event stuff for a while in VR at that point. And personally, the people from that first year who did the world and some of the staffing, they're really great people, but I have nasty gripes with logistics, and I just didn't like some certain things. I was vocal about that, so Gear, hit me up the next year I want to say it was in June. He was like, you want to talk about Gear? I was like, yeah, sure. And he kind of just hit me with, do you want to spearhead it? And I was like, yeah. Initially, it was just some clubs that he knew because he started in VR chat DJing. He primarily DJs IRL. Man's not making the riches, but he tours in his ghetto tour van, so he's living it. But we went from giving back to those just community because it went well to let's invite some more. Let's like make it churn. The first year's fundraiser was Fight for the Forgotten, and so was the second year. And both years the goal was hit, which I think was $1,000. And we got it up to 3 instances, properly vetted, not just like waterfalling or, group souping, with multiple dance teams. And it was 3 days, 8 hours each. Last year, with lessons learned from each, it scaled up a bit more, and we set some pretty interesting goals for last year's GearFest that I don't remember, because once it started ramping up, elements just started like piling on, like avatar creators. We got support from VR Chat, from EOZ, from PJKT, from DGen, from Hickey, and just a whole bunch of producers and whatnot, and VJs that wanted to come help out. And so it just kind of like took off, and we raised $5,400 for
the American Red Cross.
Yeah. We were going to do the international thing again, but everyone kind of agreed that counted as international because of the wildfires. And doing this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild. Go ahead. Sorry.
Just to kind of go off of what he was saying, that with the wildfires and then the American Red Cross, it was a great like charity to pick just because of the time frame that all of it started to come together, because they had the hurricanes in Miami or in Florida, and
everyone was
that's kind of where we had the idea to go with the American Red Cross for last year. And then the wildfires happened, and it was a done deal.
Yeah,
we were just, it was perfect.
Every other week we had every other club had DJs calling out because their house was there, they had family they had to go pick up, and people were in other countries coming to the U.S. to volunteer, and it was just everyone could feel it.
I think we had a group go down there and do some reporting from the VR community.
That was actually Evie from our team.
Okay.
I think other teams did too. I don't remember it. I'd have to go into the bowels of YouTube, but I know that evening went and did a little mini documentary to kind of show stuff, and we displayed that last year.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely a crazy thing, right? And for very great causes all across the board. And not to mention, bringing everybody together in a virtual space like VR Chat for something. I mean, regardless of who you are, that's commendable. It's definitely a crazy thing. And you guys have said, you guys have grown each and every year. I mean, this year, if I recall the numbers correctly, you guys have roughly 32 performers going. You have about 55 plus communities involved with it, whether it's like dance teams and media progression, mine included. But it's definitely a crazy thing, right? And it's definitely commendable for the both of you as well as your entire team to be doing so. So I guess kind of to piggyback off of that, so obviously there's a lot that comes involved with over the years when it comes to the event itself. And you kind of briefly mentioned like the origins of like how it all started with the birthday and everything. So I guess one of the questions I want to ask, how do you guys make decisions when it comes to the evolution of GearFest? Like what is the timeline of your decisions?
Well, so I like to start kind of like brainstorming and stuff early. So like September area, about that time of year, we'll sit down, we'll have a meeting as a group of us. Most of the staff will get together and we'll just brainstorm for, I don't know, an hour or so. Just kind of, we'll go over things like that we have done in previous years and how could we improve this? And, here's an idea. And technology is another thing that kind of plays into like the development of this, because as technology's gotten better, a lot of things that we did or didn't have available in previous years are now available to us. Kind of like shader motion. Scoot could go on about that. It's a pretty cool technology that we haven't had access to.
It's actually 5 years old, but we keep trying to shove it down people's throats. It's the superior option. Just learn it. Once it's set up, it's 20 minutes. Just learn it.
But it's that technology and that the development of the more relevant technology that's given us a little bit of a adjustment change in that adjustment period of getting used to the new technology, and helping that technology alone will help us like build a better experience for everybody. It's incredible. So
I didn't know if you had anything. Yeah, I didn't know if you had anything to say, Scoot.
I talk way too much, so I don't want to bulldozer over anybody. But yeah, no. So for us, because ministry is kind of like the engine that runs it, right? Like Gear final say on everything. It's it's GearFest, right? But for us, it's kind of like an opportunity, because like we do a lot of stuff for people over the year, and it's kind of become this unspoken chance to call back all those favors, ask for a little bit, but a little bit times 50 is a lot. So for us, what really goes into it is, who's interested in participating and how do we want to. So going back to what you mentioned a moment ago to kind of help me explain this, or how we were talking about the origins. So when me and Gear originally were popping off in VR chat as just, degenerates trying to just have a good time, he was getting into DJing. I was getting into hosting. We were both part of a community called Club AU. And it was a drinking community, right? And I know there's a lot of stigma around that, but the interesting thing about it is back then it was a safe place where politics, any type of social constructs, all of that was just void. No one wanted to hear it. They all just got out of work. All they wanted to do was tip some back and listen to some good music. And it became such an inclusive, safe space that the hosts of those old school drinking communities, and a lot of them aren't around anymore, there was like all these unspoken ways to like make sure that like whoever you're collaborating with was a good move, and it always ended up in a 2 + 2 = 5 situation. If we're collabing, I'm working less hard, you're working less hard, and we're both achieving more. If we're working extra hard, one of two things is happening: either we're about to do something sick or we fucked up. And that simplicity is something that I want. As long as ministry is in charge of GearFest, I want it to retain, because we don't get to see a lot of that anymore. We see a lot of places that are making money off their Patreons and sponsorships, and we see all this, professionalization of stuff, which is like an oxymoron. Especially when people are like, I don't want to see things go corpo, but the moment there's 3 of you and you have a logo, congratulations, you're like, that's you. But anyways, I digress.
Yeah, your brand.
GearFest has. So it's had so many dance teams come through. It's had so many creators. It has the most impressive dev team I've ever seen making its worlds. But at its core, when people show up, it's still just collab culture. If you show up on Blue, you follow the rules, and you talk about yourself and you talk to others about them, you're winning, right? We want small communities to be able to come through and have a blast, because ministry is really good with its logistics and has a strong name. Larger communities are comfortable giving us the wheel so they can come be nimble, because, once a community gets to a certain size, it's like a container ship. It takes a lot more effort and time just to get it to turn a little bit. So I try to keep as much of that in my mind when I'm leading my team and when I'm trying to suggest things to Gear, because this year especially, there's always fall off with large projects, and this year so far, knock on wood, we've had almost none. So that's a huge reason why there's 55 plus community. Like I haven't counted the number, but like it's because I'm deep in the logistics right now. But it's over 50. It's a lot of communities.
It's crazy.
But it's not group soup. Every single one of them was handpicked. They were all hand vetted. I have notes on every single one of them. They all have an assigned point of contact. There's nothing dogpiled. All the instancing is clean and spread evenly. Everything's planned for, and it's just completely dynamic. So that's my longer answer of what goes in your decision making stuff. All that.
Well, it's been kind of a learning experience over the years of here's what didn't work. Okay, how can we improve that? Well, let's do it this way. Let's structure it in these groups, and then have these groups spread out per instant. A lot of just learning and the progress and over the years.
A whole lot of we're never doing that again.
yeah, right. It's like, okay, let's try this, and it works amazing. We're not going to deviate from this, and if anyone has problem with that, oh, fuck it. Okay, too bad. So. Yeah.
No, I mean that's fair. And as like we're recording this currently, because I did the math whenever I put out my promo video, which you can find on all socials. But with that, you have 55 plus VR chat itself, communities, in collaboration as it currently stands. Granted, there may be more. We'll see. Knock on wood. But it's definitely, that alone is absolutely crazy, because if you realistically put all the numbers together, you're talking easily tens of thousands of people that are at least getting notified of the event, and they may or may not show up, whatever the case may be, but at least you're getting the word out. And that's marketing in a nutshell, is just word of mouth and getting that stuff out there. Social media being obviously one of the biggest plugs and ways to evolve that, word of mouth and getting the information out there. I know like Chaotic Rose, Black Rose Thorns specific, they put out a short promoting it. I know there's been DJs putting stuff out on their socials like, hey, we got stuff coming up, with GearFest, blah blah blah, and that alone, reaches a brand new market. Funny little side tangent. Speaking of that video, the very first, I love him to death. So that's why I'm making this little tangent. But the first person to actually like and repost, and it was before the promotion started going through with it, was actually Lun. From VCAT. He immediately, not even 2 minutes after I posted it, so he watched the full thing and then put it out, but he liked it and reposted on his socials too. I was like, I love that man. He's great. But I mean, and that goes to show, no matter who you are in VR chat, people are going to respect these type of events. And obviously, I held one myself, with Squad Forever Fest, which, funny enough, if you haven't seen the teaser, that person right over there, and his amazing community of miniature promotions, surprise, they're going to be the collaborator for 2026 Squad Forever Fest. So stay tuned for more details later in February or March. We'll get more details out later. There's too many events going on between now and then, so we'll get there. But to the point, right? Word of mouth has evolved, and social media has definitely pushed that. And obviously with this year, getting as many communities, you were talking about the vetting process, and obviously there are so many different types of communities. So I guess one of the questions I wanted to ask, what kind of went through your mind when researching these communities and going to all of these communities, or maybe they came to you? What was kind of the process of that?
So it's kind of a mouthful, right? So what I've learned, and again, going back to the whole lessons of old with 2018, 2019 events, deadlines, you're never gonna be able to live by them in VR chat. People are, clubs are gonna disappear, rebrand. They're gonna disappear for this reason. They're gonna grow. Every single event I've ever done to scale always has the same two things happen, and you can never predict them. You just know they will. Someone or something that you were counting on, that you knew you could rely on because it's been trustworthy for years, ghost, screw up, do something nuclear, it just puts a headache on you. And then something or someone or a group that you wrote off as all right, they're just showing up, they're not going to do too much, carries a ton of weight. So benefit of the doubt across the board, obviously, if there's nothing too critical inside of moderation files, or if there's not too much noise. Whenever we vet a community for GearFest, we'll secret shop their Discord, and we will look for NSFW content. We will look for their socials to see if they're, just some shit posting, or if it's actually, they're twit longering, they're getting political, they're doing this. And it's not because, we're not, everyone has their own politics and whatnot, but it's not to try to get anyone in a gotcha. There's a lot of communities in VR chat that operate a lot of different ways. Some of them are 13 plus, some of them are 16 plus, some of them are 18 plus, some of them are 21 plus, some of them are 18 plus because they just don't want to mingle with kids. Others are because there shouldn't be a child within a mile. And it goes both ways. So GearFest each time has been an excuse for me and my team to kind of force things onto the scene that we think would help people. Things like shader motion, things like vetting your collabs, things like multi-instancing, things like social media campaigns. And so we were one of the first communities that VR chat gave some beta keys to for the age verification system. And let's say, so this happened this year, this happened last year, but nameless community number, whatever, right? I go into their server, I'm like, hey, what do you got? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, we have an NSFW section, but you have to, use the bot, you have to do this, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I go to IRL selfies, scroll up twice as a spoiler, and now I'm looking at a penis. Okay. So I let them know, and I'm like, hey, found something fun in your server. And they're like, what? Where? And I link them the message, and they're like, oh my God, I'm so glad you caught that. That's kind of the goal, is to let us kind of come through, clean everything up, right? So that way everything's gated correctly. It's not just anyone can click twice and get into the server. And then what we do is the date that vetting takes place, I will actually write down every single thing I checked for. And the reason I put the date is, let's say, so for example, we're partnered with Goon Squad, and we love our homies at Goon Squad. and they're called Goon Squad because they're a bunch of goons, right? Like, we're all a little bit older, right? Ish. We all remember going to the 7-Eleven, you know, drinking some 40s at the skate park, right? Hanging out, you know, just straight gooning, right? But now that means something very different. And so sometimes people will ask, like, hey, so Goon Squad, what's that about? Right. And so it hasn't happened at all this year because Goon Squad's been working very, very hard on all of their stuff throughout the last year. And they've done a great job with their brand management and their team. They're fantastic.
Very established. Yeah.
But should someone walk up to me in earnest and go, Scoot, I don't know if my brand can touch this festival because Goon Squad's here. What the hell is Goon Squad? Then I will go through the process again, show them my work, and then I will change the date to today because I just checked it again. Because what we had at a previous GearFest was we had to have a community change their logo. It wasn't like not Twitch friendly or anything, but it was a pair of tits.
Yeah.
And so we's like, hey, you know, you gotta change that. You know, you gotta have a backup. You know, that can still exist in places, but like there's gotta be a shift or at least a motion to shift. You got it, Scoot. It's a great time to do that. We want to be brand friendly, blah, blah, blah. They do it. Fest ends. Now we have a bunch of promotions with tits running all year long as the logo. So things like that we take into consideration. If you know, every single fest, there's a pile of documents we have to read because, like, oh, well, I just want you to be aware. I don't want an action, but be aware of this person.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of insight that goes in, but it's pretty tame. But we look for everything, right? If we see a community that's really big, we know because, like, we get a lot of, like, insider chat with people because we're not a club. We don't want anything back. We just want to talk about you, right? So you tell us about your stuff. So you'll find a lot of these communities, like, we're partnered with Schism. Right. And a lot of people think that it's like, it is super hard to get into as a DJ, but they think it's this like leaderboard structure or there's some favoritism. They would, when they're operating, it's twice a month, 4 hours each. And if you got 90 DJs applying a week, where are they going to go? Right. You take big communities and they want to, you know, be able to be nimble. This is an opportunity for them to do that, to talk to smaller communities, to be an example, to network, to see other big communities that they haven't been able to align with. For smaller communities, you know, yeah, we've seen a lot of communities grow specifically because of GearFest and a lot of artists because they have a free equal hand to just go walk up shamelessly, just like back in the day at the old school drinking clubs and go, hey, I'm so-and-so from such and such. We should talk. And like, you know, there's no chance of that ruffling a feather because that's
for collaboration.
It's the expectation at the door because like obviously like without that being pushed, that's still a law of VR chat. Like everyone's gonna want to do everything together, but you do run into like I don't know if I want to talk to them because they're too big, or I don't know if I want to talk to them at their event because they're busy, and I don't want to look like I'm poaching, which is like stupid as hell. You know, poach my free players, anyways. So these are all the things that we look at when we're talking to communities that we're bringing on because if we just wanted to like fill some instances and bring the cool kids, we could probably just hit up like 5 or 6 like names, run promo directly off of them and go, yeah, GearFest was tight, but then it wouldn't serve its mission. And like there's fundraisers that kick the crap out of us every year. And even but they're like not to scale, right? There's people who will match, you know, 2 or 3 of our instances in one go. And you know, we'll work
over
with all
day.
of them, but and so it's like when vetting communities, we're looking for networking, we're looking for impact, we're looking for as many opportunities to get, like, for example, we have Monster Min dancing with us this year, and I'm hoping that you know, they're going to be one of our newer partners once, you know, we finish up the channels. They're a great community. They let us walk them through, you know, 18 plus age verification in their server and in VR chat. They're part of the Leads group. They've evolved fantastically over the last 3 years, but I want to see them work with our other partners at Cybar. Which is an RP bar group, right? Because how cool would it be if a hospitality group could book some fire DJs, right, from somewhere like Hypothetical or Goon Squad, and they got Monster Girls hosting the thing, right? That's sick. So that's what goes into our heads, because to me, that's a lot cooler than 120 people who can't get into a shoebox.
Yeah, when I another thing kind of tying off of that is like the collaboration thing is something that I've pushed since probably the second year, because I've seen what it did for the community. Was like when people got to collaborate, and like Scoot was saying, was like go talk to somebody like Lon from VCAT. When you're able to just walk up and chat with somebody who, say in their eyes, they're like, oh, I'd never be able to talk to this person because they're so busy. But then you go to this event, GearFest, and you can just walk up to Lon from VCAT and have a conversation with him. That gives you a foot in the door of like connection and collaboration, not only with like GearFest and people at GearFest.
When people see how easy that is to do, they just start doing it more. You're like, oh, this is just people. These are just people. Yeah, they're just people. There's just people in avatars sweaty like you with a toaster on their face.
Yeah, it just opens that door for collaboration, and that's something I've pushed every single year that we do this. Is like I want as many new DJs on this lineup as we can get, because some of these DJs have never played a festival before. So giving them that opportunity opens up the door for them to have eyes on them that they probably wouldn't have had they not been on the festival. So that's something I love pushing for every year.
No, for sure, and it's definitely a crazy thing, you know. The sheer amount of collaboration efforts that it definitely takes to put this on, it's crazy, and that goes for any VR charity event, not just GearFest or Squad Forever, but like VR charity event, or even obviously there's some
Club. Shout out to the homies.
Yeah, I mean there's a ton. There is a ton when it comes to charity events, whether big or small, and all of them for commendable causes, local causes, international causes, whatever the case may be, which actually segues great into the next topic, because obviously, you mentioned the previous year you did American Red Cross, and this year you are doing Doctors Without Borders, which is an amazing cause. And if you're not familiar with that, it's a medical humanitarian organization that helps people get healthcare and aid with healthcare when it comes to like dealing with epidemics and crises and all sorts of stuff. We'll probably put a link somewhere down here. You can check it out, or we'll put the Tiltify QR code somewhere right here. It's fine, but it's definitely So I guess out of curiosity, because I know, and this from personal, going through the GearFest stuff, because I know you guys did a vote for, charities. I believe it was 3 different charities, I believe.
Yes.
So I guess out of curiosity, what kind of made you guys want to choose, like those 3? I can't remember the other 2 off the top of my head because a lot has gone on. But out of curiosity, like what was like the research like when it came to like choosing these charities?
This was tough. This was really tough for the whole team, honestly.
I had to pull the trigger. I had to keep stopping everybody. I pumped the brakes so many times.
Yeah.
You wanna?
Well, I mean, so we were just trying to find something that would. The primary goal was to have it reach a global field where the years like previous.
Global.
Yeah,
not
actually
England,
global.
Wales and Britain. We're international.
International
is me to Pennsylvania.
But that was like one of the main factors for like selecting some of them. So we got it down to 3, and then we decided we should let the community vote and give them the say. And it ended that Doctors Without Borders was the one that got voted the most. I think it was 60, almost 70%.
I'm looking for it
voting.
now. I'm literally hovering over it.
It might be less than that.
There it is. Fundraisers. So we had Gamers Outreach, which was a program to help terminal kids be able to play games, whether, something happens to a kid, they're in the hospital for 8 months, they lose a lot of sociability, they lose a lot of interactions, stimulation, it can be, very detrimental. So there's a lot of focus on getting them involved in social communities or video games and multiplayer stuff and keeping them active. Then there was Action Against Hunger, one of the top rated nonprofits that were working to combat famine and stuff like that. And then, of course, Doctors Without Borders, which is basically, and the way I see those 2 is like one of them's burgers, one of them's Band-Aids, right? So the way that we were looking at them is, again, the international part, but we also took a lot of great care because we can just say it, the waves of VR chat are exceptionally volatile. You sneeze wrong and woof, you're the bad guy, right? So a lot of these places being international and taking over at Crisis, we had to give a lot of attention to, like, what if a war broke out? what if something happened? Like it's easy to find places that are non-political. But once something happens, they're still being non-political, but something's happening, right? It's going to be talked about, it's going to have its politics, and they're going to be there boots on the ground helping people. So we also looked at how they handle that during the time of, just in case something happened. And that's how we landed on these 3 different fundraisers. Is they were brand safe, they were conscious of what they were and where they operated. They had something like, if not Tiltify, so we could track the donations in real time like we did last year for the incentives we're going to be doing. And it was, just easy enough. And so then we put it in the vote for GearBolt Fest, and Doctors Without Borders won by 53%. Total of 77 votes.
53%. Okay, I thought it was more, but that's crazy.
Well, because you saw the 70.
Yeah,
that's probably what it was.
I mean, yeah. Regardless, like it's definitely like out of all 3 of the, because I also voted for Doctors Without Borders, because kind of to put your perspective into play here, like it definitely makes sense. Especially nowadays, like we're not going to go into that topic here on the podcast, but but like the world's rough out there. We can be real for a second. The world is in a rough place right now. The whole 2020s have been a rough spot. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Pandemics and, countries going at it head to head and stuff.
It'd be nice to go 4 months without history happening.
Real.
5 this year. That'd be tight.
Yeah. It's not great, but
it's crazy.
And that's, kind of to not dwell off the topic entirely, but while we're, dealing with this stuff in real life, doing what we do, we're also fighting many, I guess, this is a weird topic to go on that I don't normally go into, but it does make a lot of sense with what we all do here. We are also fighting one of the biggest stigmas of VR chat, and that it's just a game and there's no point to it. We, us 3 specifically, and many more, are doing things that literally impact the world. Whether it's raising money for suicide awareness or Doctors Without Borders or, many amazing things. It's really unheard of for a lot of video games to be doing that. And yes, there's an argument of whether or not it's a social platform video game. You can get it on Steam. It's a video game. Fight me on it. I don't care. But my point, right? We are doing a lot different than what most people would even consider VR chat to do. And once again, it's a commendable thing. Not to glaze us too much, but it's a very respectable thing to do. We're taking time out of our lives rather than just playing a video game to make a difference in the world. And
can I try to drive that point?
Sure.
To give it a little more gloss, take us out of the equation entirely. So we're working with over 50 communities in GearFest, and this is the first festival of its type of 2026. There's still everything Project Community is going to do. There's everything you're going to do. There's things several of our partners are going to do. There's so many festivals that haven't even been thought of yet, and they're going to raise tens of thousands of dollars quarterly. And that's just in their pocket of VR chat. We have communities like VRDA that are doing what they do. We have, the Trevor Project, which is a massive collaboration of communities. And at the end of the day, again, not to get into the politics of the world, but the most nasty, annoying topics are always screamed the loudest, whether because someone's on the wrong side of history or because someone wants that corrected. And so it's really easy to overshoot just how much good is happening. And so I think what you were kind of alluding to is that it's an unsung hero process for a lot of these communities. And that's why we kind of take it personally to try to give them an opportunity to bang as loud as possible. We've all smashed our teeth on the pavement of event running for years. And and other community, I'm not saying other communities haven't, but we were lucky enough to stand between so many that we have a perspective that we can take this club community and this RP community and this dance community and put them into one thing so they can all do what they're doing anyways, but it's just a little bit louder. And
we're giving them a stage.
The hope is that the motivation continues. It doesn't feel hopeless in that because bottom line, this is helping people. There's a company that I still got to reach out to because I wanted to wait a bit, and then that took 2 years because blah blah blah. Anyways, Neuro Rehab VR. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but if anyone's ever met someone or known someone who has had a stroke or head trauma, and they lose part of their body out of it, you can get it back if you're lucky, but it takes work. You have to keep thinking. You have to reconnect those synapses. And what they do is they actually use quests to, because the whole phantom thing, to try to trigger that reflex of make it more comfortable for the brain to reconnect those connections. And that's just one of 1,000 things we could talk about. We have this year, we have the Faceless, who does a bunch of charities. We're working with Shameless, Tentacle Disciples, Monstrum Inn, Sexy AF. I'm going to pull up the list because I got these by heart until I'm supposed to, and then I don't, right?
In alphabetical order. Here we go.
VR Pole Dancers, VRDA, and of course Ministry. And these are all different types of teams that do different types of things, but they're all dancing together. We have just a few examples off of the community list. We have Aperture, which is a boiler room partner, like a boiler room apartment style thing next to, I'm going to mispronounce this, I'm not Spanish, Alcalicos Etalicos. They're going to kill me. A completely Spanish-speaking community. We have communities like Channel 9 and Chaotic Rose. Then we have EU communities like Club Dark. We have underground communities like Days and Club Italia, an Italian community, one of the first Italian communities in VR chat. They all are constantly doing fundraisers. They are constantly doing outreach events. They're trying their best to help the VR chat team, which works very well with them. I'll just take that moment to pat them on the back. They're getting a lot of crap right now, which when they should, but when they shouldn't, let's stop. They're working hard to bring new users in and try to not have them just go to a great pub, get called a slur, and never come back, because there's so many beautiful things and connections. There's people who've gotten married in this game and are together now. There's people who started businesses. One of my favorite things that I've gotten to see in VR chat is people who walk up sad, depressed, maybe a drinker, who knows, and then a year into it, they're creating avatars, or they learned something through an online class. They did yoga, chilled out, went back to law school. I've seen people show up to VR chat soggy from whiskey and walk away a lawyer or a cop, right? And so sorry, I'm ranting a bit here, but I think that's what you were getting at.
Yeah, I mean, I did. No, you're good. No, you're good. Well, to even further drive the point, right? Yeah, you're good. But to even further drive that point, I did a rough estimation. Granted, this is not every single community on VR chat, and there's hundreds of thousands of communities that do charity events, whether big or small. But I did a rough estimate considering some of the biggest ones we've had, and some of the overall ones that I'm aware of. Realistically, if you put the math for let's say 2025 alone, the VR chat community has raised over $1.5 million for various different charities, and that's crazy to think. That's crazy to think about.
Yeah. All in the name of having fun together while dressed up like cat girls? No way. It's unreal.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy how all of us around the world can come together and do something like this. It doesn't matter if you're a big creator or a small creator, a big community or one starting out. If your heart's in the right place, you can set your mind to literally doing any of this type of stuff. And that's that's the huge takeaway from this episode. It's anybody can do this type of stuff. You just gotta put yourself out there and be like, hey, I love what you guys are doing. I love these great causes you're doing it. How can we help? And there will be stuff for you to do. There's always stuff for people to do, Hello, everyone. Real quick, just want to pause the episode right here. I want to thank you all so much for watching this far. If you're interested in checking out some of the other content or staying up to date on all my other content, including the podcast, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It really does help me out a lot. And speaking of that, we now officially have all of the merch here on YouTube, from Squad Foreverfest to DJ Noved to Noved Notes merch. All the merch is now here on YouTube, so you no longer have to go to the merch site itself. It's all directly here. But of course, if you want to learn more about VR chat and maybe attend some of the events that I hold, feel free to join the Noved Squad at noved.6608. So make sure to join the Noved Squad and attend some of the events. There's some amazing stuff coming up, so make sure to stay tuned. But let's get back into the episode. Woo!
You know something I have to tell, a pill I have to teach people to swallow when they come in from like either, I've had this conversation with VTubers, with, hardware companies, with people trying to do their own thing with Unity because, we want to be in VR chat, but not really. You could pour all the communities and all of the money and all of the clout and influence, whatever you can come up with as an element into your VR chat event. And that night, there's going to be some guy who you never heard of, he doesn't know you exist, and he's going to have half a drink in his hand and go, I'm off tonight. Let's do a pop-up. And he's going to crush your numbers every time. Every time. You will always be at risk of being outpaced by someone who just showed up to have fun. That's how easy it is. People all the time are just worried about I don't want to get into club owning and blah 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 and all this. You don't have to go that crazy with it. Just if you're having fun and you're bringing people together, you have the same potential as Lun or this goofball or PJKT or Hypothetical or Goon Squad or Schism. It's just it starts with a cube. It's
a lot of ideas mixed in with good collaboration and good communication. I mean, the communication level year has been fucking incredible. People will DM us for example, when I was putting the lineup together, I would message a DJ and within maybe 30 minutes to an hour that DJ would message me back. That was huge because last year we'd have DJs, and not all the time, but the majority of the time you'd get great communication, but for example, you'd get a DJ and I would love to have them on the lineup, but they didn't answer me for a month. You did no response for a month, and then it's well, I need to get things going. You need to communicate a little bit here. Yeah. That was not the case this year. This year we had so much good communication. It's incredible to see just the evolution of it.
I actually refused to go to the recap meeting last year. Me and him had a spat about it. Yeah. One thing that I dealt with, and this happened across the board, and it always happens a little bit. And we do have an extensively large amount of great communication this year, but this year is not immune to already having some instances where people have gone silent that shouldn't be, and they've come back later oh, what are we supposed to do? And it's oh, welcome back. We had I'll keep it as light as I can. We had a individual who was helping with a thing. And they wanted to help with the thing. And so we gave him a thing channel with the other people who wanted to do that thing. So he had the resources to do what he had to do. And this was in December. January 25th, bro hits me up freaking out. None of my stuff's set up. I still don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah. Going right past 8 times I reached out because we do a POC system. We don't just ping in the server. I'm not exaggerating. Every community is handheld. We do not leave anybody alone for a moment. And I show them the channel again. It goes great. The festival goes great. And then afterwards we got a whole, hey guys, this went so well. I'm so in love with this project. Thank you so much for having me. Hey, look, listen, I'm sure you knew this, but I do this kind of stuff IRL. Yeah. And I would love to be more involved next year to help communications flow better. And I'm just sitting there. Yeah, that'd be great, man. But in the back of my head, I'm like, how the hell are you going to help us when you can't answer a DM or look at the Discord and show up but you're so worked up that you're missing the information that I've linked you twice. You just have to scroll up in your own DMs.
Not only that, we have meetings
to ask me for what you.
Yeah, it's we have meetings every month.
Either it's so knuckle dragger that
yeah. It's the fact that like Skoo was saying, it's unavoidable. We've had a little bit already this year, and luckily it hasn't been too bad from what I've seen. So it's just we have meetings every month to try and convey these messages of here's how this is laid out. Here's how we're gonna schedule this, and lay this out. Here's who's in charge of this specific thing, and then we have a meeting every month so that we can get this in your head over and over, all the way leading up to the event, so that by the time the event's here, everybody's on the same page. However, we still have the little small group over here that's kind of nonchalant about it and not really paying attention to the Discord, and then when it comes time, they're, oh shit, wait, I was supposed to fill something out? Yeah, if you would have been to the meetings that we've held every month, you would have known this. But yeah.
So it's funny, Rose has been exceptional this year. They've been doing media, and also shout out to Channel 9, Spencer Show, Lux Nova, Faceless. You know how to pronounce their name. Spanish PJKT.
Okay, you can't just keep calling them that. Fohadores.
He's trying to teach me. My tongue doesn't do it. They call themselves that. It just works.
I know they. You can say the Spanish Booth Festival, and I would have understood what you're saying. We love. I want to preface. I want to preface this. We love the Fohadores community in Noved Squad and PJKT, and they do in fact say
partners. They're all friends. They're all homies. It's all good. But it's just fun. Anyways, yeah. Shout out to all the. What the hell was I even just saying? Oh yeah. It's less about like, oh man, how dare you not talk to us, or man, that was stressful. When we have to, especially if it's something that the fest is relying on, or a group of people are, we have to stop and make sure we catch you up. And what that does is it creates a ripple effect to where the people who are on time and are communicating are getting less of our attention. And that's where things start to unravel, and a swath of people kind of like start to feel like they're not important. They're just a number, they're just a cog, no pun intended.
Their gear.
But that's why we're really like harsh, and like we'll never name drop. We don't give anyone crap. Things happen.
No.
Right? But like we make it so easy that like there's no excuse. There's no excuse. Yeah.
No, and that's understandable.
Oh yeah, Rose, they're crushing it this year. He did that last year. They said that they didn't want to be involved directly because we weren't age gating. The feature was a month old. And then like a week before the fest, they're like, hey, so like, what instance are we going to? And I was like, you wanted to be involved? And they were like, yeah. I just didn't want to be on any of the promo. I was like, you missed like 4 meetings. I've not heard from you. I just assumed you weren't coming. Come host, I guess. Like, I'm sorry. And they're like, no, it's okay. But this year they came back and just right there.
Yeah.
Crushing.
Oh, they've been killing it. They've been killing it 100%. But obviously, there's a lot when it comes to GearFest. Obviously, the festival itself, the charity itself, which actually you kind of a tangent off of what we've been talking about with the collaborations and stuff. But you guys do also have an auction this year with GearFest. So I do want to go into that a little bit. So what kind of sparked the idea for an auction in the first place? Like what kind of started that?
It's a fundraiser, and we don't touch any of the money, so we, it's just a new fun way to say give us money, so we can all say how cool VR chat is. Anyway, but plenty of auctions have happened with Femboy Host Club, with Lux Nova, a bunch of other communities, and Strange Pair, and because a bunch of them were here anyways, I figured, we're missing a couple slots on the live side. What if we did an auction? And Jason over at EOZ, so actually I can't think of a better time to actually just talk about this out loud for the first time. So Jason at EOZ, one of the founders of EOZ Tundra Labs, they partnered with Ministry last year, but Jason's just like me, he never stops working. So even though we've partnered, we only just talked about making Discord channels 2 weeks ago, right? Anyways, so you guys know the gloves that are coming out, right? Well, several iterations of those have come and gone, several prototypes, and at GearFest this year, there may be some avatars, there may be some tours of backstage stuff with Lux or other communities. We don't know yet. That's going to be announced sooner. But one thing I can say for sure that is going to be on the auction table is a limited serial glove from EOZ. I'm pretty sure, it works, but I'd recommend keeping it because it might be worth money a while later. An actual, one of their very first prototypes of
patent that shit, bro.
Yeah, so that's you can't patent it. It's EOZ, but you get the gist. So
I meant EOZ. I meant EOZ patent.
I think so.
That's tough.
But yeah, so we're going to be running that out of the Discord though. So anybody who wants to help out with the fundraiser and you're not quite sure how, get everyone into the Discord. It an accidental blessing to try to do this because we have not pushed for the Discord. Everything is at the community level, but the Discord is going to be how the auction is handled. So if you or someone wants to participate in the auction, they have to be in the Discord to be able to get the notifications and to be a part of it. We'll be live. We will have MCs. Shader Motion will have us in all the instances. No one's going to be left out, no matter what instance you're in. But the donate the bids are going to happen in the Discord. You cannot shout them because there's no way to do that currently across 4 to 5 instances.
Gonna need an auctioneer at that point.
Yeah, well, you're gonna need 5.
Real, the real. But yeah, I mean that's awesome. And EOZ definitely one of the bigger ones out there, of course. Like that's completely insane. That's crazy.
Not to shill, but to actually transition away from EOZ, mention them one more time. So EOZ, Hickey, VR Chat, V4 Mirai, obviously PJKT, Legendary. The companies that get involved with GearFest, I really enjoy doing this with them because there's a huge fear right now, especially with everything that's going wrong with AI and big tech, and we don't want to see VR chat turn into a cesspool of ads and corporate toxicity. Yeah. But with companies like VCAT that literally take sponsorship money from other companies and then give it to the community to give it the tools for free to run the festivals and stuff that they do, the way that VR chat interacts with its community, a lot of people think they don't, but they literally publicize the way that you can do that through a Discord. You just got to apply if your community is big enough. There's actually a link in the GearFest server. You can go in the announcements and scroll up. And then EOZ, Jason started EOZ with whoever he started it with years ago because they got into VR, tried out full body, and said, well, what if this was more comfortable, right? And so all of these groups, V4 Mirai, Mono Monet, they're a bunch of VTubers and they all chill, but they're trying their damnedest to get community flow. No one is even trying to shuck anything. No one's trying to sell anything. It's literally just an opportunity for the few companies we have operating in VR chat to interact and be human at the ground level with everybody else instead of behind some big collab or sponsor thing or blah, blah, blah. And so kind of really hoping that we see more of that. We have since last year, and I want to see more of it this year. I'd like to think that GearFest is a reason that happens a little bit faster because it's an example of it going right. Yeah. But it's just crazy to me how something with such bleeding edge technology like VR chat, as much as we like to shun it for being on whatever Unity pipeline it's on or whatever version, at the end of the day, go find me the better one. Right? Yeah. This is a place where this is what's happening. Yeah. And somehow the companies involved are this good. They're at the ground. They listen. They talk to you. They hang out. They play the damn game we're all trying to make better. That's way more important to me than any of their products. Than any fancy DJ showing up and bringing however many viewers. I don't care about that. I'm just so stoked. It's wild how big something can get, and it's just all community. It's a great platform for growth from any level, whether it's trying to do a festival or starting your own business. That's what makes VR chat great.
Mm-hmm. No, 100%. And everybody starts from somewhere. It realistically is not hard to do some of these crazy things that you see here in VR chat. It's just a matter of time and dedication, sometimes collaboration, whatever the case may be. And it's an amazing thing. It all started with a cube. It's wild. And obviously, speaking of, bringing things together, because obviously we talked about we talked a little bit about the dancers and VRDA and all the other ones. There's so many, I start to lose track. I'm so sorry. But one of the things I want to talk about, obviously, is the live performers. Because obviously, I'll say not only does GearFest hold DJs, but they also do have some live performers this year, featured this year, which, is a big thing when it comes to VR chat. Because obviously when it comes to the music scene of VR, live performance is everything. And that is a very big thing. So what I wanted to ask specifically to the both of you, I know GearBolt has a lot more on this topic, which is why I want to give him the floor on this first. But what kind of what is kind of the process when going through like all these performers and like deciding which ones you want to bring to GearFest? This could be talk about the evolution of the process or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. So early on, it was like, oh man, I want my buddy on the lineup, like early on, it was like all my friends, and then it kind of progressed to where I would start researching the DJ and find all his music, maybe even go into VR and watch his shows and just kind of experience him live or see them live and get to experience that. And then it was like, are they a good fit for this time slot? I tried to structure it that way where it was like, oh, let's try and do a genre at night. And it was really difficult to do so because some people only play this specific genre. So selecting that, I literally would just find whatever talent I enjoyed. And then I told them, play whatever you want. This is your time to shine. I want you to do the best you can for all these people because it's your time to show your art. Because I was given that opportunity years ago in VR to play a festival and be able to show off what I was capable of. So I'm trying to give that back to the community. So I think it was year 2 or 3. I was like, I want to get as much fresh talent into the lineup as possible. And then by doing that, it again gives them the opportunity to perform and in front of people that have probably never even heard them before on a large platform or a larger platform. And as far as the live performances go this year, that was all suggestion by Scoot and Ministry, just saying, hey, we should have an hour slot each day separated out from the rest of it to showcase these performers because there's so much talent in the VR scene, from live dance communities to role-playing communities to comedians. There's comedians that do full acts in the VR space. So yeah, what do you want to touch on that just a little bit, Scoot, on like the kind of your selection process?
Try to grab a comedian. I'm gonna be real. That would have been clutch if we got next year. Yeah, so we've helped out a lot with again PGKT and VCAT, but also places like the Midnight Opera, and back before a brief hiatus, we did an event with Golden Cantation and our partners at the Faceless. They do karaoke nights and they work with a bunch of live performers, and so I saw an opportunity to try to like touch that a bit, right? And it was going to be a huge challenge because of the shader motion and puppet setup, and we're almost done. This is a nice break from doing all of that, but man, I gotta get back to it. I kind of almost wish we didn't do this, but we have Kit Kat Sings Meow. She's fantastic. We have Sheena from Jazz Night. We have Taya Hunter from the Midnight Opera. The First Class Coffin. First Class Coffin's coming. We even got Cena to come by and play for free because it's for charity. We have a session that's going to be done by VRDA. Lux Nova is going to be doing something for an hour, as well as having their own instance for one of the days, because it's just the only way you can fit them, because their staff team is so
they're
big.
Huge. They're huge.
Just to fit what they do, they have to like be alone. It's really cool that this year we got to, and that's kind of what happens every year with GearFest. We gotta push it a little bit more. You know, like we went, you know, from the first year to the second, I was like, let me multi-instance, and then from there to the next one, it was like, we need shader motion. And now like Vestero is a black
incredible
magician
wizard.
So they gave me a clip of 6 puppets of their avatar using an animation that one of our dancers, Gunther the Lion, did. They took multiple of them because we did something similar with Dome. And I show it to people. I'm like, hey, so which one's real? And everyone tries so hard, like, and is this one? I just hit them with none of them. None of those are real. But anyways, the live performers, they're going to be in every single instance for like we didn't touch this at all, but shader motion is not a hologram. It's not a reprojection. The way it works is your motion data is captured with a shader that passes through the video player. So to you in that instance, there is 0 latency because input to output. It's just it's recompiled, decompiled
across the instances.
It might as well be keyframed. And we got, you know, their stages, a lot of their particles, we got them their props, their instruments, their you know, you're going to get the full experience. Their avatars 1 for 1 are going to be not projected, but operating in every single instance. And that was a lot to pull. So big shout out to V, and big shout out to me for all the puppet work I'm doing right now. Still have so much to do, but
Grinding.
Yeah, no, and just to make sure I didn't miss anybody because I am so exhausted. Let me just look at the list real quick.
It's all good.
For the live performers, yeah. So Seen It, First Class Coffin, TFM John.
TFM Johnny, yeah.
Can't forget the homie.
Can't forget the homie, bro. I was gonna say it, but I'm glad you covered it. Dude,
he's
I'm
good
so
friends
excited.
With Gaster, one of our CMs.
So excited.
Or CM in training. We're still trying to figure out what that means. So I'm really glad I looked. I almost forgot him. So yeah, Seen It, First Class Coffin, TFM Johnny, Kit Kat Sings Meow, Taya Hunter, Sheena, VRDA, and the auction. And what Lux Nova is bringing to the table is going to be the main, slotted live stuff that's going to be across all the instances. Next year we could probably fit more. It's just gonna be what V cooks up. I don't even want to think about next year. We're just gonna
yeah, we gotta get to this one first. Jeez.
Yeah, that's usually how it is. I mean, speaking from personal experience, it was Squad Forever Fest. People are already asking at the event. They're like, "Oh, when's the next one?" I'm like, "Let me get through this one first." Like, please, I beg, let me get through this one first. Yeah. And people have been pestering me about it nonstop. I'm like, all right, we'll do it again. Because originally, like, Squad Forever Fest was essentially a replacement for, like, not instead of a birthday. It was the significant of, like, the creation of Noved Squad, the 2-year anniversary specifically. The first year I did, like, a little smaller event. It wasn't for charity, but I had a bunch of performers and stuff. I was like, I could go bigger, probably, and do it for charity. Yeah, let's fucking do it. And that's how it started. And working with, like, DJ Panda and a few others.
When did that start? When was your first Squad Forever Fest?
Last October. So it was October 11th and 12th. So I started planning in, like, February. Well, I had the idea in, like, December of 2024, and then I started full planning with DJ Panda and the V-Rillium team in February of 2025.
Hell yeah.
And phenomenal. Overall, we crushed the goal of $5,000. We raised almost $7,000 for the International Association for Suicide Prevention, and it was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. I literally cried a lot that entire event.
Yeah.
I was expecting it to go as well as it did, and I'm really excited for 2026. Working with Ministry, and I feel like we're gonna get even more, like, out there than we ever have with Squad Forever Fest, and I'm super excited to do that this year.
Awesome.
Stay tuned. There'll be more details in the Discord and maybe videos coming out soon regarding that. We'll see, but it's a lot. It is very much a lot. But kind of to move on, because obviously we've kind of already talked about them a little bit, because obviously we talked about all the communities involved and the teams involved, and realistically, one of the biggest questions I wanted to ask you both, because obviously as we're recording this, we are right about 6 days away from the event. As the video, if I can get it out on time, it should be roughly about.
Like that?
But I would say roughly when the episode goes out. Fingers crossed if I can get the editing done in time, because I'm going to put as much footage and stuff. We'll be about 3. We'll be about 3 or 4 days out from the event, depending on how fast I can edit. So I guess one of the biggest questions.
Soon.
Yeah. I'm putting deadlines on you. I gotta ask you both.
I already do that.
So what are you two most hyped for when it comes to this event specifically?
Oh man. Probably, for me, it's the music. I love music. Music's my life. So getting to hear all the performers and see all the talent that we've put and brought together, that's what I'm most excited for. And just to see the collaboration between so many communities. I don't know how Scoot does it, but oh my God, there's so many communities this year. That's what I'm excited for.
I don't want to be like it to be over, but so it's easier if I just kind of like tell it from a previous event that had nothing to do with GearFest. So there was this event called Bikini Beach Blast, and Momo, Tatsi, and Ali Quim all worked really hard for several days. I brought in a bunch of dance teams. It wasn't to the scale of GearFest, but it had a lot of the same elements. We had another festival next to it. Again, not the same scale, but so we had like 9 events in a weekend on ministry side. GearFest is kind of like that. It's bittersweet because I'm nonstop, but because it's all at home, it's a lot more tasks, but they're a lot easier. And at the end of projects like this, usually it's like the last 10, 15 minutes of the entire event. It finally sets in. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like we're just about done. And then you look around and you see exhausted hosts, you see dead DJs, you see like people who are like just cuddled up in the corner, just couch raving, and that solace last like 15 or 8 minutes where you kind of just look around and look at everybody, just be like content. That's what I'm looking for. You just like,
that
I don't know how you
realization.
do it. Like it's all worth it for like you bust your ass for like months and months and months for a 5-minute moment, and it's that like just I want that moment where I get to watch everybody feel accomplished and know that it's done and we're on to the next thing after I disappear for a week.
Yeah. Then we go to hiatus for like a month. I have a nap.
And then Gear hits me up in April. You want to talk about GearFest? And I'm like, so I couldn't hear you over my car.
Oh man, I mean, yeah, it's somebody who's experienced that with Squad Forever. It is a very crazy feeling, you know, that one moment, whether you hit the goal or whether it's the end of the event, there's always that moment of like, holy cow, we fucking did it. Like we, you know, whether there's so many different variables when it comes to that, but it's different for everybody. You know, whether it's the world creation side of things or the host side of things, everybody, I feel, has that type of moment, whether it's for a brief minute or for a half hour or longer. You know, there's that moment of, you know, just relief that you're just, this is it. Like, we did this thing, you know, and it's a very crazy
I cried
thing.
so hard at the end of GearFest last year. I was bawling. I was like, oh, we did it. Oh, dude.
Oh,
dude!
Once
we hit the 5K mark, I had no. Like, I was excited when we hit the first mark. I was like, all right, it's gonna slow down. And then like 10 minutes later, someone like, we just hit 2,500, and I was like, what?
Somebody donated like $1,000 just themselves. I was like, what? Crazy.
Oh yeah, no, that's the crazy thing, right? Like, I don't want to go too much onto this because we're a little bit over time already. But you know, when Squad Forever Fest happened, it was the same thing. Like, I set the goal to 5,000 because, you know, and some of you have already heard this. I haven't said it publicly, but I'll say it publicly here. The reason why I set it to 5,000, since 2020, I had lost 5 friends to mental health and suicide, and I wanted to dedicate 1,000 to each of them as a part of the goal. You know, and when we hit that moment, there's clips out there of me and Boondoggy, formerly known as Scout the Goldie, literally hugging each other, crying our asses off. Like, we were.
I remember joining on you, all soggy and teary.
Hey, but you know, for the very first charity event to hit something like that, it was crazy. And not to mention, like you said, you know, somebody donated $1,000 for you guys. We had 2 donations of $1,000 come through. One was from the developer of Standable, and one was from Nanobun, an amazing content creator. Both of which donated $1,000, and there was like some $500 donations as well. Like near the end, I'm like, holy fuck! Like, what the hell is happening? We weren't we weren't even expecting to hit the goal, and it was during, I believe it was during Rob Roman Voice's set. When these started, these you know, started to go through.
Rob is a G.
And, you know, VR Chat even came in and made it into a 100-person instance. Big shout out to Tizzy and the amazing VR Chat team that came in during the event. But it was crazy. Like, it was that moment where I was like, holy crap, like, we're doing something that even I couldn't imagine doing, and that's making that impact. Which is
right from the comfort of your room.
Yeah,
Isn't that
right.
crazy? That's what's crazy.
Oh yeah, no, and
I traveled the world today, and I never put pants on.
Yeah. Oh man, we are a little bit over time. So I do want to wrap this up a little bit because I want to make sure I can get this out on time. But I do want to ask one final question before we do the outro stuff. Because obviously with this all in mind, because you guys have ran, GearFest for years now. If somebody is interested in maybe doing a charity event, what is one piece of advice that you could give them as somebody who's ran, events like this?
If you're not having fun, you're not going to be effective. And if you are effective, that just goes to show how much farther you would have went. It doesn't matter what we're talking about, dancing, DJ. Literally, you have to enjoy it. You cannot turn it into something that's going to crush you, because it will. There's going to be enough things. There's going to be people bitching. There's going to be your own expectations that you're going to learn. Either we're too small or too big, or it doesn't matter who you are. Something's going to punch you in the stomach, and you're going to have to walk it off. So don't do it to yourself. Just please, for the love of freaking sweet baby Tupper, just enjoy it. Have a reason to make it fun.
Yep, that's exactly what I was gonna say. You have to have fun with it, enjoy it, and communicate. Just stay in communication. A good communication will change your world.
Maybe I could add: don't take anything, and I mean nothing. Take nothing personally. People get weird. People you've known for years around larger projects, and you kind of gotta let them have a moment. Just don't take nothing personal in the heat of anything, and have fun. And just do it. Not to be shy about like don't overthink it. Like literally, at the end of the day, the best events are just like, you want to run a super cool DJ event. Walk up to the DJ, say hi, they say hi, you book them, and then once an hour you copy paste the link. Anything outside of that is semantics. That's it. Like real talk. Everyone seems to forget that when they reinvent the wheel. Just have fun and just copy paste the link. You're done.
No, fair. I mean, both very wise pieces of advice there. Because obviously there's, from both of your experiences, there's a lot when it comes to these events, and, to just remember to have fun and, just do it for the passion of it. And it's definitely some good thoughts. But yeah, so obviously, I do want to give you both a chance before we do end things off to essentially tell the people where they can find you both as individuals. We'll already have the GearFest links down below, of course. But I do want to give a spot to, tell people where they can find both of you. Whoever wants to go first.
DJGearBolt on all social media. There's only one of me. There's only one DJGearBolt. GearBlot is a fake, yeah, so DJGearBolt on all social media, and you can follow the Discord for more updates.
You can find us through our VR chat group. Just search Ministry Promotions. It's the only one with the big black M for now. Or big white M on a black back. We're obviously in the Discord server. The link will be in the description below. You can always reach out to one of us or our secretariats. Just pop in a ticket. We'll be more than happy to work with you. And Noved screwed up and let me talk last. So we're going to have Seen It, First Class Coffin, TFM Johnny, Kick-Assing, Altea, Sheena, VRDA, and Auction. Scroll down just a little more to our dance teams. We're going to have, again, Club Drifters, Lux Nova, Monster Min, Sexy AF, Tentacle Disciples, The Faceless, VR Pole Dancers, VRDA, and our team. And then the attending groups are going to be Ancients of VR Chat, Aperture, the Spanish name I can't pronounce, Alakalikos, Ethikalikos, Astro Pulse, Channel 9, Chaotic Rose, Club Dark, Club Days, Club Italia, Club LA, KOTOR, DGen, District 1, Dome, Goon Squad, Happy Hour, Hypothetical, Noved Squad, Paranormal Scene Investigators, Purple Fox Club, Positive Vibes, Rainbow Library, Raveman and Music District, Red District, Rift, Shameless, Shark Tank, The Cathedral, The Cauldron, The Hotspot, The Midnight Opera, The Reserve, The Secret Level, Spencer Show, The Strange Pair, The Traveling Circuit, I'm so bad at this, TBRS, V4 Mirai, Vortex, Wandering Disco, Weeaboo Weekend, Wyvern, and the shorter final piece of the list, which is our auxiliary support, Card Game Connoisseurs, Black Tie Butlers, Sidebar, Legendary Studios, PJKT, Perplexia Hopes Club, Synapse, Beryllium, Lildesten, Fajoradores Hispanos, I said it right, not Spanish VCAT.
Nice.
Close enough.
PJKT. Close enough.
And also, I made a mistake earlier. Shameless is one of the dance teams. I need to move them to the right channel right now. So, yeah, thank you for screwing up and giving me the mic last.
Very nice. go.
Well, you heard it here, folks. All the links for both of them, as well as all the GearFest stuff, will be down in the description. So please make sure to go check all that out. And if you even want to consider donating to the cause, the Tiltify link will also be in the description. So please make sure to support this amazing cause of Doctors Without Borders and come to the event. Join the Ministry Promotions VR chat group and, have fun. And I technically didn't mention it, but I'm literally the one that's going to be first starting off, which is very high pressure. I made a grave mistake choosing that spot. That is so much pressure that I'm not ready for. But
I wonder what all the other performers are going to think about the tone you sing.
Oh, they're going to be like, "What the hell is this guy doing?" And I'm excited for it. So. We'll talk off camera, but about that. But of course,
crying. Why did I do this?
Of course, all the links are gonna be down in the description, so please make sure to go check them out. If you are new to my content, or maybe coming back to watch some of the other episodes, feel free to hit that subscribe button down below and learn more about VR Chat and the amazing communities and creators within it. Comment down below. I got it. Comment down below. What are you excited most for GearFest 2026? There's your question. Comment down below what you're excited for. I'm going to make you send this out to everybody. I hope you realize that. But make sure to comment down below. And yeah, I think that's everything. I haven't done an outro in like fucking 2 months, and I hope that's everything. My post editor will kill me if not, aka future me. Yeah, and
many more.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, the podcast is a solo project. I don't have a team. It's just me. But with that, I do hope you enjoyed episode. That's what I forgot. That's what I totally forgot. I want to thank you all so much for watching. This has been episode 91 of the Noved Notes podcast. I want to thank both Scoot and GearBolt for coming on the podcast, and I hope you enjoyed. But with that, I want to thank you one last time for watching or listening, depending on the 10 platforms that you're on. And I will see you in the next episode. Take care and peace.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Noved.